All right, all right. Peace and love, Ready Nation. This is Tamara T. Bush. I just wanted to hop on and go through some of the questions that I've been seeing inside of the Facebook group, get some of those questions answered for you all, give you the ammunition that you need in order to move forward. So let me go ahead and pull this up now. One question that I saw in particular was regarding a debt collector. I believe that I covered this before, but I wanted to just, provide a refresher for those that may have forgotten. Those that may have forgotten. Right? All right. Okay. Now, this particular question, it says, when I'm filing a consumer complaint on a debt collector, do I file on my state Secretary of State website, or when the company is located, Secretary of State website? Now, anytime that you have a debt collector, here are some steps that you can take to determine, number one, if that debt collector has legal standing to sue you in the state in which they are trying to collect, right? My recommendation would be to go to your Secretary of State website, because remember, the debt collector has to have legal standing to sue, and they also have to have legal standing in order to do business and collect in the state in which you live, right? Because remember, the laws are going to be governed by the state in which you reside. So anytime you're going after a debt collector, you're going to want to look in your state, because they have to have a license to do business in your state, right? So what you want to do is go to your Secretary of State website. When you get the debt collector, when you get the collection notice in the mail, you want to take the name of the debt collector, right? Take the name, go on over to the Secretary of State website and look to see if they're registered, because they're required to be registered in the state. They're required. That's number one. Number two, not only are they required to be registered with the Secretary of State, they are also required to have a permit from the Commissioner of Insurance of the state in which they are trying to collect in, right? I'm gonna say it again. They're required to have a permit from the Commissioner of Insurance for the state in which they are collecting in. All right, so I'm going to read this to you because I want to say that I went over this before, but I wanted to, just sort of kind of go over it again, so that you all can see. And I want you all to go and look up. I want you all to go and look this up for your state, right? Look this up for your state. Okay, so I'm looking this up for the state of North Carolina. I want you to go and do a search. Go to your state's general statutes, your state assembly website. Everybody should have their state assembly website or their general statutes, the link for that website saved down somewhere, so that you know what laws these companies are bound to. Don't just always look at federal law. Sometimes we have to break it down to the state level to see exactly what's going on. It's like, yes, we know that collection agencies are bound by the FDCPA. Yes, we know that. However, anytime that you're moving towards litigation or arbitration, the attorneys will argue a lot of the times state statutes as it applies to that company. So you're going to want to become familiar with your state statutes. Look it up for your state. So it says collection agencies, Part 1, permit procedures. Permit, they're required to have a permit from the Commissioner of Insurance. No person, firm, corporation, or association shall conduct or operate a collection agency or do a collection agency business as the same is hereinafter defined in this article until he or it shall have secured a permit, therefore, as provided in this article. Any person, firm, corporation, or association conducting or operating a collection agency or doing a collection agency business without the permit shall be guilty of a Class 1 felony. So what does that mean? They can be charged with the crime. What does this also mean? That they have some sort of insurance bond on record under which you can submit a claim against, right? So this is a nugget that you can use as leverage. When you're going to file a complaint, yes, that's great. You definitely want to go ahead and file a complaint. Somebody offered up a response, file a complaint with the CFPB. Okay, great. But we all know, you know, sometimes the CFPB, a lot of the times the CFPB falls short. Typically, they tend to go after the big dogs. Y'all saw that I posted the other day about Wells Fargo, right? You have to be the one to go in and fight for yourself. So in order to do that, you want to have all the information that you need. You want to have all the information that you need, okay? So yes, you can file a complaint with the CFPB. You also want to file a complaint with the Commissioner of Insurance. The Commissioner of Insurance is the entity that have issued their bond, gave them permission to be a collection agency in the first place. The Commissioner of Insurance gave them permission to be a collection agency, y'all. So you're going to go and tell on their boss. This is their boss. You also want to file a complaint with the Department of Professional Regulation. We're talking about filing a complaint with the applicable regulators. You want to file a complaint with the regulators, right? So the Commissioner of Insurance, right? Commissioner of Insurance. In addition to the Secretary of State, the Department of Professional Regulation, the CFPB. You see where I'm going with this? So we want to pull out all stops because right now we're literally in a war. So that means that we need to be pulling all of the arsenal, everything that we need out of our tool belt so that we can put these people in check and put them in line to do what it is that we want them to do. All right. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing that I wanted to go ahead and cover. That's the first thing. That's the first thing. All right, so let me go ahead and look at this next question. And I'm sorry, y'all, it's early. You know, I gotta get my breakfast. And my throat has been it's been hard to clear my throat over the last couple of days. I don't know why. Probably because I've been doing so much talking. I stay on the phones a lot. Just because y'all don't see me on here don't mean I ain't working. All right. All right, so someone says, I have a small bill sent to me. It had a wrong address. It's over 90 days past due, a dental bill. $50 balance forward. I believe it was actually a bogus tack on a charge. Still coming from the dental company. If you pay with 90 days past, will it ding my report? I was thinking of a conditional acceptance. I believe it might be incorrect, but not certain. Any opinions? So someone responded and said, a cease and desist and validation of debt are in order. Medical should not be reported as stated. Demand removal until alleged debt can be proven and verified to be yours. Should have an audit trail and accounting information, data service. Medical information should not be reporting, and that is absolutely 100% correct. Right, so let's take it a step further. Let's take that response a step further. Hold on a second. Let me pull this document up so that I can give you all what the law says, right? Always want to take it back to the law. All right, so hold on. All right, let me pull this up now. All right, we're talking about medical. Come on, computer. Medical. Right? All right. So the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, which is HIPAA. Okay. I reserve the right to protect my privacy of personal information and medical records from all third-party reporting. This is what HIPAA states, right? So that is one of the laws that you're going to want to use in addition to the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, which speaks to the fact that you have a right to privacy in the first place. And that is 15 U.S.C. 6802. Use those laws to your leverage, because even though it's a medical collection, at the end of the day, you still have a right to privacy. Still have a right to privacy. So that's another thing that you can use as leverage for that. All right, let's see what else. Definitely do your cease and desist, and add the other privacy violations in there as well. All right, can anyone tell me where to find the law that deals with essential goods and services in the context of a consumer purchase? Someone responded, normally I just type it into Google, like USC on essential goods, for example, and different codes relevant will pop up. Let me see what you all are saying. Somebody responded with 42 USC 5189E, essential service providers. Yeah, this is a good one. I covered this before. This is definitely a good one. I don't know if that answered your question. But when you look up essential consumer goods, when you look up the definition of essential consumer goods, essential consumer goods or services means goods or services vital and necessary for the health, safety, and welfare of the public, including without limitation, food, water, fuel, gasoline, housing, shelter, transportation, healthcare goods and services, pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and personal hygiene. So when you're looking at that and you're looking for a law that deals with essential consumer goods, in essence, any law that has the definition of consumer included in that law is a law that deals with essential consumer goods. Because in essence, the definition of a consumer is one who seeks to acquire goods and services for personal, family, and household use, right? So the term consumer is defined all throughout the code, the USC code, United States Code. So yeah, it's going to be any law that has the definition of consumer in it, because essentially, remember, we are a natural person that's being pulled into the public to do commerce, right? To do commerce. But we're just natural people out here seeking to acquire products and services for personal, family, and household use. But what the system has done is they have commercialized those transactions. They've commercialized those transactions, although we're coming out of the private going into the public so that we can live and eat and have shelter and have, clothing and transportation and all of those things, right? This is why the definition of a consumer is so vitally important, because of that fact. We're being pulled out of the private into the public to do business, and they've taken and twisted and turned every single thing that we do and deemed it to be some sort of commercial transaction. So when you go and read the code, any law that has the term consumer defined throughout is a law that deals with essential goods and services in the context of consumer purchases. And also, you want to go back and look at what is a consumer credit transaction. A consumer credit transaction. Let me pull it up. All right. Consumer credit transaction. This is out of 15 USC 1679. A consumer credit transaction. Let me share my screen. My throat. A consumer credit transaction means any. It says any. When it says any, it means all things. Any transaction in which credit is offered or extended to an individual for personal, family, and household purposes. It's always, always, always going to be for personal, family, and household purposes. It's always going to be that way every single time. So I hope that answered your question. All right, so let me see what else is. Okay, so I already answered that one. Someone said, so if I'm making an affidavit for a car loan, would I just put the affidavit of notice at the top? I would put consumer notice of, then state the type of notice. All right. Would you mind providing the mailing address needed to send my passport application, the DS-11 form? And what should I include with the application other than form 6.007, please? I sent an email. All right. Let's see, because I uploaded this document on how to get your passport into the private Facebook group. Okay, so she said that she was able to get it done. All right, good deal. Thank you all for stepping in to fill in the gaps and answer the questions, and help out the group. Because what I'm learning is that when we help one another, we help ourselves. So I sincerely appreciate you all for doing that. All right, I love it. Somebody sharing a testimony. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I know that's right. Go ahead and get your remedy. Get it, get it, get it. I love it. Yes, beautiful, beautiful. All right, let me see what else we got going on. Peace and love, Ready Nation. Maybe I'm missing something here, but can anyone please point me in the right direction to an in-depth breakdown of how each code in the Bill of Particulars directly applies to how the auto loan industry violates the truth in lending? I appreciate it. Thanks. All right, so let me see. Now, here's the thing. One of the best ways to learn this exercise is to pull out your agreements and try to spot the violations. This is one of the things that I go over in the Secure Your Interest course. It's one of the things that I go over. Right? Now, one of the things that you can start with is to go ahead and read the Consumer Ready contract guide that I dropped inside of the private Facebook group. And I believe it is also in the Ready Resource Center. Because those violations initially, that's like the foundational elements of how they violate you without you even knowing, without having to dig too deep into the contract. Let me read what else some of these comments say. Right. Yeah, you have to ask yourself, what is the end goal? Someone said, can you send a link to the Bill of Particulars that you are reading? Also, what's your end goal? I like to start backwards and then find the remedy that way. Starting backwards is looking at how you were violated, because we have to know how we were violated before we can put together. We have to know how we were violated before we can put a number to it. I guess that's probably the best way to explain it. But hold on a second. Let me pull this document up. Let me see. Let me see. And my computer wants to take its time every time I do a search. It's crazy. Come on. Man, y'all, I was reading, whoo, boy. I was reading some scripture this morning. That thing jumping off the pages, boy. Oh my goodness. God is so good. He's so good. So and this is I'll more than likely drop this document right here into the new course that I'm working on. Because I have a course that I'm going to be releasing at the end of this week on how to fix your credit. But it's so much more than that. It's so much more. So much more. Let's see. Um, did I put it in here? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Here we go. Come on, computer. Let's just thing be acting up. Now I done clicked on it so many times that it opened up 3 times. All right. And I don't know if this is broken down to specific situations in terms of the car loan. Wait, what was the question about? It was about the car loan, right? Auto loan industry. Yeah. Auto loan industry. And we're talking about truth in lending. Title 15. Here are some of the ones that you can look at, right? This is acquisition of location information. 15 USC 1691. So this is specifically related to truth in lending. All right, that's one. I can find the other one. Computer. I'm sorry, that was Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. So you want in relation to truth in lending, right? Truth in lending. Now, you're going to be looking at the definition of a finance charge, determination of a finance charge, which is 15 USC 1605. That's the biggest one right there. That's the biggest one right there, because the dealership is supposed to clearly and conspicuously give you the details of how they calculated finance charge. And the thing of the matter is when you're looking at your contract, you'll notice that there are certain charges that are supposed to be included that are not included. Specifically, any services that they require you to have in order for you to drive off the lot with that car. One of the biggest violations is the calculation of the finance charge, and the fact that if they're telling you that you have to go and get full coverage for this car, anything that they're requiring you to have in order to consummate that transaction should be included in the finance charge. So your insurance, your tax, title, all that stuff that they have listed as a separate line item on your truth in lending disclosures is supposed to be included in the finance charge, right? And the fact that down payments are illegal. down payments are illegal. So we're talking about 15 USC 1605. So you definitely want to start there. Go and read that. Right. And let me just. All right. So this is where I am right here. This is where I am. Termination of a finance charge. That's going to get it every single time. Every single time. And I went over this. So go back and look at the video that I did on YouTube, where I broke down I think it was when I did the billing error dispute video. If I'm not mistaken, was it in the billing error dispute video? It may have been in a different video. I'll see if I can find the video and link it. But yeah, that's one of the ones that you're going to want to start at, right? Let me see what else here. All right, so the second one is going to be where it speaks about cash equivalent in your consumer credit transaction, right? Let me see if I can look it up. I'm trying to find the exact code. And actually, it's in the definition of a finance charge. Finance charge is the cost. Let me share my screen so you all can follow along. Finance charge is the cost of consumer credit as a dollar amount. It includes any charge payable directly or indirectly by the consumer and imposed directly or indirectly by the creditor as an incident to or a condition of the extension of credit. It does not include any charge of type payable in a comparable cash transaction. This is the section right here that tells you that down payments are illegal. Down payments are illegal. And so right now I'm looking at 12 CFR part 1026. This is regulation Z. And so you can go ahead and look that up, study that, use that to your advantage. Do what you got to do. All right. That's it right there. The law is not going to say down payments are illegal. It's not going to be that specific. We have to know how to go in and read the code. It's telling you that it does not include any charge of a type payable in comparable cash. Cash is your down payment. That's what that's speaking of, right? Okay, let's see what else y'all got in here. What else? What else? And actually, let me might as well just drop that in there right now since I'm there. Might as well drop it in there. What was the other one? The other one was the definition of a finance chart. I hope that y'all are going back and watching some of these videos because a lot of questions that you all have, I've covered these in some of my previous videos. Right. Definitely have covered this. And I get it. A lot of people they don't have the time necessarily to go back, but go back and study these videos because it's literally hours and hours and hours of content. I get it. Definitely, definitely. And that was another one that I was at. Termination of finance charge. All right. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Yeah, for those of you, stay diligent in getting these copies of these birth certificates. And because if you're moving forward with any of the packages, you are going to need that. Do you know if there's a surefire way to get out of state benefits? They make it difficult because they want that contract. Okay, what exactly do you mean by state benefits? I need you to elaborate on that. What do you mean by that? What benefits? Go a little bit more in depth. Okay, okay. I'm having a huge issue with the Secretary of State of Montana. They will not accept my UCC saying that the parties have to agree to the lien. The parties do not have to agree to the lien. They're lying. They're lying. They're lying. Exactly. What kind of person would agree to a lien? Confused. Now, someone came and responded and said, you will need a contract between the legal person and the man, a security agreement and power of attorney. In fact, this info is in the Secure Your Interest course. I hope this helps. To add to that, this is part of the reason why it's important to put that DBA entity in place, because a lot of the times the Secretary of State the Secretary of State, they won't follow UCC financing statement unless there's unless there is some sort of commercial entity on the table, because remember, the UCC is a commercial document. That's why it's called the Uniform Commercial Code. It's a commercial document, so you have to have a commercial entity as party to the transaction. And so your DBA is that commercial entity. Your legal person is that commercial entity. And by you filing a DBA, you take control of the legal person. So if you don't have that in place first, they're not going to file it. Does that make sense? And then you have to have the contract between the two. You have to have the security agreement between the natural person and the legal person. So there's some steps there. I'm hoping that you're able to get those steps done and then circle back them to file your documentation, right? All right. Anyone else having problems recording their documents with the county clerk? They look at me like I was a green three-eyed alien when I showed them what I wanted to record. I wrote a letter to the elected county recorder official with the notice to clerk form and have not heard back. What are your thoughts? Somebody said mailing it is acceptance. I just send a certified mailer register and have them send you the receipt. Yeah, so this is the thing. Here's the thing. Yes, you can send the notice to clerk, which is basically outlining the fact that they are a public servant and they have a fiduciary duty to record your documents. One of the other things that you can throw at them when they refuse to record your documents is, okay, I'm sorry, are you an attorney? Because it sounds as if you're trying to make a legal determination. And if you're trying to make a legal determination, you can be liable for prohibiting me to conduct my business. And I don't think that you want to have that sort of responsibility. Because when they refuse your documentation, they're making a legal determination on your behalf. They're not an attorney, they're not an accountant, they're simply a public servant, a clerk that is there to perform a duty. They have a fiduciary duty to do their job. So that's another argument that you can come up with, but you want to say that to them. You want to say, are you trying to make a legal determination? Ask them the question. Ask them the question. You don't, if you can't get where you're trying to get to with that person, then actually speak to a supervisor. I was wondering if you have an affidavit template regarding school teachers, principals that prevent to speak with the kids without consent, permission from their parents. I hope my writing makes sense. Confused a little bit as to what you're trying to do. It says principals that prevent to speak. So are you trying to prevent the principal or the school from speaking to your child about a specific topic? Did something happen? What happened? And let me just. About a specific topic, please elaborate. Yeah, I need a little bit more information about that one. Just a little bit more information, please. Just a little bit more information. All right, let's see what else we got. All right. All right, so that's about, let's see. Okay, so someone says, I've set up my DBA and started the EIN. I thought that would be a no-brainer task, but am I overthinking? The legal structure question. Sole proprietor seems the obvious choice. Oh, I answered this question, but that also says there's no separation between the owner and the business on the sole prop, and that the separation is one of the reasons we're doing part of the process, I thought. Did I think about this the other way? Then when I set up the DBA from reverse state, do I also do an EIN for that? Are we good with just one working EIN? No. When you set up your DBA for the state in which you were born, you're going to do a foreign filing for that same entity in the state that you currently reside, one EIN, because it's virtually the same entity. What you're doing when filing in two different states is you're extending the footprint. When you're filing in the state in which you were born, you're just putting the original agency that created the birth certificate on notice, right? But because you're no longer doing business in the state in which you were born, and you may live in a new state, you want to put the DBA on record with the new state because that's actually the state in which you're doing business, but it's still one EIN, just one. Now, regarding the legal structure, it is most certainly going to be a sole proprietorship. It's definitely going to be a sole proprietorship. Because the idea is to get away from using your social. You want to begin to use the EIN in order to conduct your business, right? You're getting away from using the social. You have to create that separation by filing those other documentations that's in the Secure Your Interest course. There's very specific documents that you want to file that's going to begin to separate the two entities. And remember this, there are certain contracts that you're putting in place between the natural person and the legal person. So the contracts and the agreements that you're filing is what is going to create that separation. So it's a package deal. It's not just going to be one document that's going to create the separation. That's why there's multiple documents that you're going to file and get recorded in order to, create that that's the separation that you need to have. All right. All right, let's see. When going from public to private, what happens to things like insurance policies, 401ks, and other financial instruments? When you go private, no one on the public side is going to know that you've crossed over to the private unless you tell them, right? And if there's certain things that you're going to express in your documentation on the public, because the private controls the public. So if you choose not to tell them, they're not going to know, but nothing's going to happen Nothing's going to happen. They will never know that you crossed over onto the private, because this is just a way for you to um, solidify your position in terms of how you express the trust. That's virtually all you're doing. You're going to begin to express the trust on the public side, absolutely. But insurance policies, 401ks, now for your insurance policy, you definitely want to have your trust listed as a beneficiary. 401ks, if you're currently working a job, nothing is going to happen with your 401k unless you tell your employer something that they shouldn't know and they fire you, or but the 401k is still subject to federal law, so nothing's going to happen. Like they can't just cancel your 401k. Like none of that stuff happens. None of that stuff happens. Now with your 401k, there may be some beneficiary information that you need to deal with. You understand what I mean? Your financial investments, there are some beneficiary details that you need to deal with. Absolutely. You're going to want to make sure that you thoroughly define who your beneficiaries are. Now, in terms of other financial investments, if you want to protect those assets, then yes, you would want to place those assets in the trust. Definitely want to place those assets in the trust. All right, so let's see. I'm looking at my birth certificate. I see that my last name is in all caps. My daughters are too, but my son is first letter capital and the other letters are lower caps. Does anyone else notice this? This is definitely a sign. They tried to minimize the surname because the father last name is. Don't overthink it, Kim. Don't overthink it. The fact that there is a BC in place at all tells you that there's a trust. There's a trusted operation. Okay. All of us have a surname and given name. The BC does not define who you are. It's an instrumentality that was created from. It was an instrumentality that was created as a derivative of you, but it doesn't define you, right? We know that we know that our family had a surname. You know, your surname was here before you even were born. Your given name is what you were gifted at birth. So every family has a surname. Even when you go back and look at the old census records, it says surname on there. When you really, really go back in the records, you can see it. All right. All right, let's see. Oh, some of y'all are having some serious issues getting copies of your birth certificate, boy. This is crazy. I've not, and it's so crazy because until I see a bunch of people going through this process, I did not know that it was so hard that these gatekeepers were really holding on to this birth certificate. Like a lot of people are having issues getting copies of their certificate of live birth. And that to me is cray cray. That's crazy. Going to somebody just said that they need a court order to get their certificate of live birth. That's insane. You know, that's insane. That's crazy. That's crazy. That is crazy. Mm, 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 mm. All right, let's see. Yeah, somebody was asking a question about the 9/8 trust. Now, I did a video about this on my TikTok. The title of the video is called The Responsible Party for Your Trust. I want you all to go and check that out. I want you all to go and check that out. Let me see if I can link it here. because they were asking on how to fill out the form, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, what are you trying to do? And it sort of kind of took them a minute to really figure out what it was that they were asking. But sometimes, we just gotta, just, you know, think a little bit. All right, let me see if I can find this video. Let me see. Here it is. All right. Okay, so just to give you an update on that video. If you are moving forward with one of the packages, as we have been discussing on these weekly calls, you are going to want to do your 9(8) foreign trust that matches the country in which you are getting the apostille done for, right? Okay, so I gave you all the country on the call. I won't say it here. If you are moving forward with one of the packages, you're going to want to use an address in the country where you are getting your birth certificate apostilled. Okay. All right. In the country in which you are getting it apostilled. So and you're going to want to use a post office address. All right. Don't just do some random address. Go and look up a post office in that country for where you're getting your birth certificate apostilled. Now, the closing month for your trust is going to be the close of the banking year, which is October. October. Okay. When you go to call, yes, you can get up 7 o'clock, but they actually open at 6. They open at 6 o'clock. So get up at 6 o'clock, but set your alarm for 5:30 a.m. Be on the phone with them by 6, be in, be out. You will literally only hold for 10 minutes. Or you can wait until later on in the evening because they're actually open from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. So I've done some because I've done more than one. At the time of that video, I had did 2, but since then I've been helping other people and I've done multiple. So you can call later on in the evening, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, because a lot of other people think that you're closed. So the call volume goes down. You can get them before they close and you can still get it done in and out quick. But if you're calling during the day, like a regular business day, you can forget it. You're going to be on hold for 2-3 hours. You can forget it. Yeah, so that's that. That is that. You all can do this. And you're going to want to go ahead and get your trust set up. You're going to want to get it set up. Now, if you're moving forward with one of the packages and you're doing a revocable living trust, when you go to do the name of your trust, it will be first name, middle name, last name, revocable living trust. That's how you would do that designation, right? All right, let me go back and see what else. So I think I've gone back just about 10 days for the questions, right? Where's my thing at? Hold on, y'all. All right. All right. Yep. So I took it all the way back to December the 12th, which is about 10 days. Okay. So I hope that I don't want to make this video too long because I know it's rough for people who work and stuff like that. You got things going on. You ain't got time to be looking at a 2-3 hour video. All right. So I hope this information was useful, that I was able to get some of you all's questions answered. There will be a call today for the individuals that are in the Secure Your Interest course. We will be doing this call every single Thursday. I am more than likely going to move the call down to 7 p.m. because people have been complaining that they're at work at 4 o'clock. I get it. I understand. I'm gonna try my best to accommodate. I can't accommodate everyone. I'm only one person. And trust me, when these calls are done, you're going to want me to do these calls so that I can give you the most accurate information, right? All right. So I will see you all later. Have a wonderful and prosperous day. Yeah, so I'm gonna be signing off. Peace and love to you all, and I will see you all in the next